Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to talk about latency for the first time. Everything so far has been handled for us from gas just automatically. And if you know what's handled for you, you're very appreciative of what gas handles for you. If you don't know what gas handles for you yet, if you're new to this, then you will be appreciative of all the things gas does for you already. That's why you're using this. So let's deal with our own though, because I stuck us in a situation that's a common situation to stick yourself in, and someone noticed it actually in the comments in the last video and made a comment about the latency of the application, the removal of all of this. So let's go ahead and just talk about this real quick. If I come into the system files and I come into the config files, into the default engine.ini, and I just pick a section here and I say packet simulation settings, and then I can say packet lag equals, and we're going to exaggerate this to the extreme. We're going to say someone has 250 milliseconds ping, and we're going to make our client run immediately responsive on 250 milliseconds ping. So let's just build and see what happens to our game as is if I have 250 milliseconds ping. Okay, so now that we're back in the editor, let's hit play and let's see what this does. Okay, the server's got a decent view. This guy's got a decent view. We'll take this guy here. Okay, so now we can see I push, move, move, move. You can see the lag is pretty severe, right? But what happens when I hit crouch? Well, so it looks like the engine crouch is being predictively applied, but the application of the gameplay tag effect is not being replicated predictively. The application effect is not replicating the tag to us immediately, so it's doing that, and that causes things like we can clip our head through this, and then if I let go and I'm running this and now I come out, well, not until the server has removed the tag does my character understand to stop crouching or stop uncrouching. So we have an issue there, and I believe the solution to this doesn't have to be very difficult if we just expose one function in a smart way. What I could do is, instead of making this lag compensation specific to the crouch function, what I could do is just come into my ability system library and make a project-wide static function that can be used in any blueprint that you want it to. And we could say static void, and I'm going to signify in the function name that this is only supposed to be used in blueprints by prefixing it with k2 underscore, and then I'll say set loose tag count static, which will require uability system components that will forward declare pointer that we'll call ASC, and then just a regular F gameplay tag that we'll call tag, and an int32 that we'll call new count. And the reason I'm doing like just a regular tag is because, again, this is meant to be in blueprints, right? So if I make a U function and say blueprint callable, if I do a const reference to an F gameplay tag that we normally do in C++, in blueprints, when you expose that, the pin is a closed pin, and then you have to drag off that, and you have to call another pure function of make literal gameplay tag. So it makes an extra step in blueprints. But if you just do a regular F gameplay tag in the variable right there, then it gives you in blueprints right there on the node, gives you a nice place to just pick the tag you want there without having to call the other make static function. I don't like it. Anyway, we'll do but in order to, we'll chop off the K2. We'll say meta equals display name equals set loose tag count static. So now when we call it, it won't say K2 on it, but we'll make a definition, and then it's just easy. We'll say if is valid ASC. We're just exposing this to blueprints, right? ASC set loose gameplay tag count, and we're setting the tag to the new count, and that's it. And then we'll rebuild now that we have this static function that can take any ability system component and set any tag to whatever value in any blueprint in the project. We'll rebuild. All right, and now that we're back in editor and we have that, we can come back into GA crouch. And now that we're in GA crouch, So because we have the net execution policy is local predicted, then that means the activation will be predicted. This line will be predicted, which I apply the crouch effect, but the tag from this apply crouch effect is not getting added to the client immediately, right? It's getting added to it after it's done. So we're going to make a function. We'll call it lag compensation add crouch tag. And the only thing that this matters in this function is that I say if has authority, we could just say has authority, and this we want off the false, then we'll say is locally controlled. So if this is a player client, if this is true, then we can set loose tag count static. And that requires the ASC, which we just have the owning ASC right here, and we're going to set the tag, the crouch, to 1. And then we could just say lag compensation add crouch tag. So then this will pick up on the predicted activation. On the server, this won't do anything, but on the client, only the player controlled client, it'll give them a crouch tag immediately before the effect is replicated back. But then that means we have to come here and duplicate this, and we can say, we're going to say, not remove, we're going to say clear crouch tag, because we're going to set the tag count back to 0. And I'll show you why we don't want to just remove, why we want to set this tag count directly here. Like, this is kind of hard coding, right? But you want to do this because if I say lag compensation clear crouch tag, because the net security policies client or server, this can essentially predictively end the ability. The client can cancel the ability, call end ability, and have it immediately fire end ability. It doesn't have to wait for the server's on end ability to replicate back. So the end ability is already predicted essentially as well. Right here. So if I have the lag compensation will catch on to only the player client, again on the predicted end ability to call this one where it sets it back down to 0. And if we want to do that, I want to show, we'll take a look here, we'll see here, and we can see that now when I press shift, now it does it in order, perfectly in order. Right, and then we can crouch under here and it immediately is responsive, even though I'm 250 milliseconds behind. And if you want, I can show debug ability system to show you what's happening. Is watch this own tags line right here, right? So as I press crouch, I have 1, now I have 2, right? And then I let go and it sets it back to 0. I have 1, the predicted, and then the second one is from the gameplay ability effect replicating that second one to me. And then when I let go, the predicted catches on. I set it, force it back down to 0, so it instantly comes back up. And then even though the gameplay effect is removed, the tag says, hey, it doesn't even have one. It doesn't set me to negative tags. It just says, don't remove a tag. It's not there. But on the server and on the remote proxy, those ones will only have 1 tag on either of them. The second tag is only for the local prediction of this one. But that is as easy as it has to be to me.